Hi everyone, this video is a tutorial on how to disconnect a high voltage or traction battery for a Gen 1 or Gen 2 Nissan Leaf. That's 2011 to 2025 Nissan Leaf. This is not a full tutorial for a battery swap. This is only going over how each connector works, from the service plug to the high voltage connector to the high voltage battery heater connector, as well as the communication port. When doing my swap, there's a lot of great tutorials that go in depth of how to do that, but there was not any great detail on how each connector works. I saw some videos where people were prying on the service plug, or one where someone broke the communication connector, and they are very difficult to get off on the battery if it's been in there for 8-10 years. This vehicle, of what you're going to see with the video, is a 2025 battery that only has about 3,000 miles and only 300 miles on the swap coming out, so it's going to be very clean. Yours probably will not be this clean. This vehicle actually swapped the battery in, and then 310 miles later I got hit by another car, so I'm pulling the battery again. I am not a mechanic or high voltage specialist, so please, anything safety wise, take that with a grain of salt and do your own research. But moving over, the first thing that you'll want to do is disconnect the 12 volt. I'm not going to show you how to do that, and then we'll get to the service plug. Let me get this up on a tripod. All right, so this is the service plug right here. It sits on top of the battery. The main thing that this does is it makes it to where all the high voltage, you can see it coming out of the front right here. These are dead and they cannot be connected. So this is an actual break to where service technicians can work on their motors or inverters or the battery without fear of electrocution. So this is where the danger is, because when this is in, all 360 volts of the battery are live in the connection points up front. Again, I'm not going to put this in because the battery's out. I don't want to energize it, but it sits right here in the battery. And then how this works, you will want to put your class 0 gloves on with the quick connector, and you will be reaching into a small hole to get this. This comes off to where this white part will flip up and cam out. There's two stages. The first is these two on the side. So you need to overcome this clip on the side. And what you'll do is, with your high voltage gloves, you'll push one side to the other. You'll get one up and it pops up. Then this white part will cam against the battery and push up. You see how it pushes up, but then it's stuck, and I've seen some wonder why. The next is that this clip right here, so this inner clip, that is what is sticking. So you're going to push this, and then it will cam all the way up, and then once this is up, you'll see how it's pushed down off the base of the battery. This should be completely out, and you'll be able to pull it out. It is a little difficult on the older batteries because, again, there's going to be a lot of dirt in here, and these are the clips that are retaining it. So again, you might have to blow some dirt out, you might have to clean it, and you're also wearing high voltage gloves while you were doing this. So again, you want to pull this to the side and get the clip up to where you can get one side up and the other side will pop up, and then it will get stuck. Do not pry under here. You simply have it where this is catching. Once you get to that point, you push and come up. Once this is disconnected, I let this stay disconnected for a few hours. I wasn't sure if there'd be any capacitance in the battery that I have to worry about with the front or anything like that. I'm not sure if that's overkill, underkill. But after that, then I went under the car, and I will show you how to disconnect these three from the car without breaking them. So these should be dead technically with the service plug. This is the front of the battery, high voltage. You can decide if you want to wear high voltage gloves or not. For the first ones I did, and then I've tested with the multimeter that this is dead on the case, that there's not a case ground. But you can make your own decisions. I don't really know the perfect order, but for me, I'm going communication port first.
Then I'm going to go heater high voltage, and then I'm going to go the main high voltage. This is the one that I've seen other videos break. So the main one is this should not be forced. So this gray part twists off. So you're going to see this little clip here on the battery. Let me see if I can spin it around so you can see it. Do not pull this gray clip, that metal part. That does, or the metal retaining clip right here. That stays. That's to keep this in the battery. This, the gray outer spins on the black inner. The black part does not move of this ring up top. For my 2016, it was incredibly caked with dust. It would not spin. What I actually did was do these two first, and then I had to do penetrating oil, air. I would not force this. I've seen many videos where this is broken. So I'm going to show you how easy it is. And then, again, my 2016, it was super hard to do, but you got to take a lot of time. So all you do, let's see if I can get a better video where my hand doesn't cover it up. So it just twists. You see how that outer twists on that? And you spin it off, and it pushes itself out, and it comes off. You see how easy that was? If you have to force it, it's just caked on dust. So be very, very gentle, because like I said, I've seen people break this part of the battery off. Next, for this heater plug, you got to get this retainer clip out of the way. It should stay right there, and it's really easy. Once that's out, you just push the button. Let's see if I can get it. And I don't know if I have it out enough. Actually, so, and that comes off. For this one, first you want to undo this bolt right here to get some more room. That way the cable can move. Get that out of the way. I'm going to put that screw up in there so I don't lose it. Okay, there's 3 different stages to this main plug. First stage is this blue part. You push it up, and it allows it to where you can go. Next stage, and this is the hardest stage, is right here. This is where you push in. On my 2016, there was caked in dust all up in here. I took some air and blew it in, but that's the next stage. So if you can't push this down and get that up, you could also try and pry this up, but this black part will slide back on the orange part. So it will not, you don't have to pull that hard. You're getting the only, there you go. And again, this is going to be way easier than on your vehicle. So it stops halfway. This needs to touch here to be off. So you have the third stage, which is this clip right here. So you push this clip, and let's see if we can get it back all the way one-handed. Oh, come on. Okay. I'm going to see if I can try one more time one-handed, because it's pretty hard to do. I'm going to have to put this down. So this is the last thing that's blocking it, and once I get this up, so I'm gonna take a little bit off. You can see kind of the gears that it spins back on. So let's see if I can push. There we go. Okay, so now is the hard part where you just wiggle it off. And now the battery is disconnected. I move these all out of the way. When I lower it, I won't have a problem. But I figured I'd just get you a video so that way you don't break these. If you know how they all come off, it's much easier. And it was easier for me to learn since I was taking it off of basically new cars. If I would have had to learn where each of those clips come off on an old car where it's all caked on, I think I may have broken a connector. So hopefully this is helpful.